Sometimes redundancy in writing is a useful thing. One of my favorite books on writing is Strunk and White's The Elements of Style. William Strunk was a professor of English at Cornell University for many years and taught generations of college students how to write effectively. One of his students was E.B. White, who went on to write such classics as Stuart Little and Charlotte's Web, among many others. White was given the task of revising a short little text that Professor Strunk had handed out to his students over the years. Its brevity is a testament to the power of terse, taut writing. But one of the things White notes is that Strunk was sometimes so terse in his writing and speaking that he repeated some of his basic rules. One of those rules I continue to emulate, not always successfully I might add, is the command: omit needless words, omit needless words, omit needless words. Sometimes redundancy reinforces. Today's phrase from the Apostles' Creed is an example of redundancy at its finest. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. When we recite the Apostles' Creed, we say the line, "He was crucified, dead, and buried." That may not strike you as redundant. After all, it contains 3 different verbs. But consider this: to be crucified is to be executed. To be crucified is to die. And once dead, burial ordinarily follows. So to say he was crucified, dead, and buried is tantamount to saying he was dead, dead, dead. Why the repetition? Why the redundancy? The first and most obvious answer is that, once again, the Creed served a polemical purpose. Our old friends Marcion and the Gnostics denied that Jesus was anything but a disembodied spiritual being. For Jesus to have suffered, to have been actually crucified, to have died, and to have been buried like any other mortal being was offensive to their system of belief. But is there significance to this beyond its polemical purpose? I think the answer is yes. It serves to underline just how important the actual death of Jesus is for faith. If we deny the full reality of the death of Jesus, we rob the resurrection of its power and meaning. It is significant that all 4 of the Gospels substantially agree on all of this. A read through the 4 Gospels will reveal many differences among them. Only 2, for example, talk about the birth of Jesus. Matthew, Mark, and Luke share a lot of material, but each has material that the others do not share. And the Gospel of John includes material not found in any of the other 3, including the washing of the disciples' feet at the Last Supper. But all 4 agree on this: that Jesus suffered a scourging under Pontius Pilate, that he was made to carry his cross for at least part of the journey from where he was tried to where he was actually crucified, that he was crucified and died on the cross, and that after he was removed from the cross, he was hastily laid in a nearby tomb. In other words, all 4 Gospels report that he was crucified on a real cross, that he died a real death, and that his lifeless body was laid in a tomb. Beyond the fact that the 4 Gospels all tell substantially the same story here, the death and burial of Jesus does 2 things for us, I think. In traditional theology, it represents a sacrifice on our behalf to atone for our sins. Remember, this was at a time when many religions, including Judaism, centered on the practice of animal sacrifice to appease the gods. Jesus becomes what we call the Paschal Lamb, the lamb sacrificed at Passover, symbolizing our exodus from captivity to sin. Besides this, the death of Jesus, whatever you think of the ancient practice of animal sacrifice, is a dramatic expression of the infinite love of God for us. In this respect, the sacrifice is not something to appease God, but to impress upon us just how far God will go to rescue us from our sin. Jesus was crucified, dead, and buried. In other words, he was dead, dead, dead. And in his death, we find our life restored once and for all. Tomorrow, why do we say he descended into hell? But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.